Hey everybody, and welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about the traits of Trump supporters. The lightning fast ascent and political invincibility of Donald Trump has left many experts baffled and wondering, how did we get here? While accurate and sufficient answers to this question must never focus completely on Donald Trump himself, but it must also focus on just how loyal his followers are. They have a very unique loyalty to Trump, and they show this all the time by wearing his brand. Their extreme devotion to him have given us a glimpse into their unwavering admiration for their highly unpredictable and often inflammatory leader. Analysis and studies that have been done by psychologists and neuroscientists have provided many thought-provoking explanations for his enduring support. The accounts of different experts often vary greatly, sometimes overlapping and other times conflicting. Even with how insightful these critiques may be, it is apparent that more research and examination is needed to hone in on the exact psychological and social factors underlying his peculiar human behavior. Authoritarianism. In politics and government, the blind submission to authority and the repression of individual freedom of thought and action. Authoritarian regimes are systems of government that have no established mechanism for the transfer of executive power and do not afford their citizens civil liberties or political rights. Power is concentrated in the hands of a single leader or a small elite, whose decisions are taken without regard for the will of the people. The term authoritarianism is often used to denote any form of government that is now democratic. But studies have demonstrated that there is a great deal of variation in authoritarian rule. Authoritarian personality syndrome, a well-studied and globally prevalent condition, is a state of mind that is characterized by belief in total and complete obedience to one's authority. Those with a syndrome often display aggression towards outgroup members, submissiveness to authority, resistant to new experience, and rigid, hysterical views of society. The syndrome is often triggered by fear, making it easy for leaders who exaggerate threats or fear-mongering to gain their allegiance. Authoritarian personality is found among liberals, but it is more common among the right wing around the world. President Trump's speeches, which include absolute terms like losers and complete disasters, are naturally appealing to those who prefer authoritarianism. Social dominance orientation, SDO, is distinct but related to authoritarian personality syndrome. Refers to people who have a preference for the society hierarchy of groups, specifically with a structure in which the high status groups have dominance over the low status ones. Those with SDO are typically dominant, though minded, and driven by self-interest. President Trump has, in all of his speeches, appealed to those with SDO. He has always repeatedly made a very clear distinction between the different groups that have a generally higher status in society, whites, and those groups that are typically thought to be of a lower status, immigrants and minorities. Prejudice. While it's not really fair to say that all of Trump's supporters has a prejudice against ethnic and religious minorities, it is also not really to be fair to say that some don't. It is well-known fact that the Republican Party, going at least as far back as Richard Nixon's Southern strategy, used strategies to appeal to bigotry, such as by delivering speeches with dog whistles, code words that signal prejudice towards minorities that were designed to be heard by racists, but no one else. The dog whistle of the past were more of a subtle way to deliver the code words to his followers. Trump is more often extremely direct with what he is telling his base of supporters. There is no denying that he routinely appeals to bigoted supporters. When he calls Muslims dangerous and Mexican immigrants rapists and murderers, often in a blanketed fashion. What is probably unsurprising, a new study has shown that support for Trump is correlated with a standard scale of modern racism. Intergroup contact hypothesis is a psychological theory that suggests that direct contact between members of a different social or cultural group can reduce prejudice, improving intergroup relations, and promote mutual understanding. The theory was first proposed by Gordon Allport in the 1950s. According to Allport, 4 conditions are necessary to reduce prejudice: equal status, common goals, cooperation, and institutional support. It is important to note that there is evidence that Trump's white supporters have experienced significantly less contact with minorities than other Americans. A 2016 study found that the radical and ethnic isolation of whites at the zip code level is one of the strongest predictors of Trump's support. This correlation persisted while controlling for dozens of other variables. In agreement with this finding, the researchers found that support for Trump increased with the voters' physical distance from the Mexican border. Relative deprivation. Relative deprivation is a lack of resources. For example, some of these lack of resources, but not limited to, are money, rights, social equality, lifestyle, and amenities necessary to maintain a quality of life considered typical within a given socioeconomic group. It can also refer to the experience of being deprived of something one believes they are simply entitled to. It is often felt when one will compare the position of life that they are in to others who they feel are equal or inferior, but have unfairly had more success than they have had in their life. Some of the more common explanations for Trump's popularity among non-bigoted voters includes economics. This is no doubt that some of Trump's supporters are just angry that American jobs are being lost to Mexico and China. This is very easy to understand, but these supporters often ignore the fact that some of these careers have actually been lost to the accelerating pace of automation. The same supporters of Trump are experiencing relative deprivation, are very common among the swing states. This kind of deprivation is specifically referred to as relative, as opposed to absolute, because the feeling is often based on a skewed perception of what one is entitled to. An analysis that was conducted by 538 estimated that the median annual income of Trump supporters was $72,000. If this data is accurate, the portrayal of most Trump supporters as working-class citizens rebelling against the Republican elites may be more myth than fact. So this just looks at 5 different keys of Trump supporters, and what really gets them to follow Trump and how Trump is able to talk to these people. So I do want to thank everybody for checking out this video, and please subscribe to the channel and help us keep getting this channel growing, and also hit that like button down below and comment if you want to, and share out this video.